Welcome to the Lay Low Pod, the podcast that keeps it real while you figure things out. I'm Erin, and let's lay low. If you're in a season of becoming where life doesn't look how it used to, but not quite how it will, you're in the right place. Sometimes to grow, you have to lay low. Hello, everybody. My name is Erin. Thank you for coming to Lay Low with me today. I am very excited that we have our very first podcast guest. I want you guys to meet my friend Monica Ross. I wanted to just kind of introduce you to her first. But before that, Monica, before I get into all the deep stuff, I want to know what is in your cup morning, noon, and night. I think I could maybe guess, but I want you to tell me.
Well, it's changed. So since I quit drinking,
probably.
It's way different. So first thing in the morning is Diet Pepsi. Then I tend to switch to water. I do love these sparkling ice Lifesavers pineapple.
The Lifesavers, but I like the cherry limeade, one of those.
Maybe another Diet Pepsi, but mostly water. Sometimes I have a coffee.
You like the Dutch Bros, though, like me. I always think of you.
I do love a Dutch Bros, but I'm an hour away.
I know. I have them on every corner here. So it is a lot of Dutch Bros in my life. My drinks, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it has changed, too, because I used to always start with a soda before I drank coffee. But now I am a black, hot, and strong coffee drinker first thing in the morning. I know.
That's a surprise to me.
Does that make me a psycho?
No, because my mom does that.
I just feel like I don't want to drink calories. Who's going to put milk and sugar in their coffee at 5 a.m.? But I'm an early bird. And then I switched to Diet Coke for my lunch typically, and then back on the water train. Yeah, I'm with you. But it's just funny. You were a beer drinker.
I was a huge beer drinker. Yeah.
You were a beer drinker. Which actually takes me back to one of my favorite memories. So Monica and I met because she was part of my Perfectly Posh team, the skincare company, the direct sales company that I worked at the end of my marriage and then while I was single. And she is in Idaho, and we just hit it off. I remember we were doing like trainings and stuff, and Monica and I just always connected. Is that how you remember
friends? It? Yeah, for sure.
Fast friends, yes.
Erin is very humble in her posh talks because she's the queen of posh. She was, always will be, and still is the queen of posh. Everybody looked up to her. She was a huge face for posh. So she didn't give herself enough credit there. So it's kind of a fangirl situation.
Oh, geez. Monica and I started earning the trips. So as we started moving up in the company and making money, and we would earn these trips. And we found out really early on that we were really good roommates. And we just had so much fun. I remember this one trip to Mexico. I think it was while I was single. Is it? It was.
Yeah.
Because I kind of went a little crazy at my divorce and after. And the posh trips is kind of when I would let loose.
I think the DR was when you were just going through it.
Yeah. The DR is when I got.
And that was the first trip we went on together.
Yes. I remember the DR. I was thinking about Mexico, the Mexico trip.
I don't know, but the best part was the wedding crashing.
The wedding, yes, that was that trip. You tell that story.
Okay, so we went to a restaurant and we were watching the ocean and the birds and we were drinking beers and I ordered a whole fried fish for some reason. My mom told me to. So we're just eating like crazy.
It had the eyeball. The fish that has the eyeball. Yes,
so
I remember.
And so we're drinking and then all of a sudden we're seeing people taking photos and it's like, there's a wedding here. We're going. So we totally went over and made friends and they invited us to sit at their table. Do you remember that?
Remember, we were like probably 8 Coronas deep by that time.
At least.
Bad. I think we had a couple buckets.
Yeah. And then we went to the grocery store. Do you remember?
I bought a Corona ball cap at that grocery store, yes.
You also bought a bottle of beer, I think, and proceeded to open it in the store. And the vigilantes came at us. Remember they had guns?
Yep, I do remember.
They weren't pointing them at us. Let's be clear there.
Yes.
But they did come up and say, you can't have that here.
Right. And if you get in trouble and by the cops in a Mexico grocery store, then it's pretty bad. So,
Kind of a
okay,
big
so then
deal.
we moved on. We went down the street, but we needed to get back to our resort. And this was a time where, like, I don't think we were really supposed to be leaving the resort, but Monica and I love to travel like the locals, and we would just do what we wanted. She's a good influence when you're just wanting to do whatever you want. So,
That's true.
um, so we were trying to get a ride back to our hotel, and there were no taxis.
There were no taxis, and we didn't know where to go find a taxi. I think there were, but we had no idea where to go. So we ended up, we had arepas, remember the little pastries with the meat and
Mm-hmm.
olives in it?
Yep.
And then we ended up going down this road where they had all the tour people, where you could go on parasailing or a taxi tour or whatever. You told
And
us.
these people decided they were going to be the ones to drive us back to our hotel
Personally.
personally. And we got in somebody's car, which I would never recommend this to anybody, let alone my children. Hopefully they're not listening. And then they kept stopping at like random
We
places.
stopped at their house.
Yes, we didn't know where we were going, and we were starting to freak out. And then by the time we made it back, it was so late, and we missed that award ceremony. Do you remember that?
I don't remember missing that, but I do remember texting my now ex-husband and saying, hey, we are in some random person's car getting a ride back to the resort. If I don't check in with you, find me.
And Joe. Well,
I don't
luckily we
think he
made it
would
back.
have, but
I don't think he might have been like, oh yeah, just
Take
let
her.
her. Just you guys can have
Keep
her.
her.
But yeah, we kind of just were like free spirits, and that's why we hit it off. Yeah. So
That's right.
anyway, we survived, and we just have lots of fun stories like that. So I wanted to tell you what we're going to talk about today, because Monica is one of the first people that I thought of when I was thinking of what friends I could have on the pod. And it's because I'm calling it 2 years of chaos, truly. And it started with her dad passing away, and she's a total daddy's girl, the same way I am. And so Monica's truly, seeing her as a daughter is one of the things that I really look up to her on. She's an incredible daughter, and she had a really special relationship with her dad. So we're going to talk about that. And then that led into her filing for divorce from her husband. She's got 3 children, and the journey of the divorce, and we're going to talk about that. And
It
then
wasn't much of a journey. It was very fast.
it was
Leading up to was long, but the actual happening, it went fast.
yeah, but also just changing your whole life, going from living with a husband and your 3 children to all of a sudden being a single mom. Like, I watched you through that. And then less than a year after that, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And Monica is my first friend that I've gone through the actual breast cancer treatment with, and it was super, super eye-opening. I will tell you that. I just had my mammogram last week. I always let Monica know that since that diagnosis, I've taken that extremely seriously, and I didn't before. But I got all cleared, so I'm good for another year. But she really did get me serious about taking that seriously, because I watched her journey and it was not fun, and we're going to talk about that. So I want to go back. Let's start with your dad passing away. Walk me through some of those memories that you have of, him being sick and then his passing, and what that was regarding change for you and your mom.
Sure. So I was a daddy's girl for sure, but I'm also my mom's girl. Like we look exactly the same. We have the same words. We finish each other's sentences. So I'm absolutely my mom's girl too. And my mom and I actually had a closer relationship, but I relied on my dad for different things. And my dad started getting sick, man, heart problems, heart surgeries, open heart surgeries, mitral valve rupture, just so much stuff. And he got diagnosed with lung cancer. It was something they had been watching for a while, but they did a biopsy and then took it. And from there, everything spiraled. It was during COVID. We were driving an hour each way, 5 days a week, trying and sitting in the parking lot waiting for him to do his dialysis. It was a lot. And finally, it was on Izzy's birthday. He called me up and said, "Can you come over?" And I knew. I actually called my best friend, Greg, at that time and said, "I know My dad just called me. I got to go there and I know what he's going to say. And he said, well, call me after. It's going to be okay. And so I went and my dad said, I'm done doing this. And I cried and I looked at him and I said, okay, I get it. It's hard. And his body was done. He was a shell of himself. He was a businessman. He was so smart. My mom and dad retired when they were 48, 49, I think, and lived a very comfortable life. So he was so smart and he just didn't have it in him anymore. And
So he basically just said, I'm not going to do any more of the treatment.
yeah, he didn't want to do any more of the treatments. And his body, it didn't take very long from the time he said he was done. It was days from the time he said he was done until he actually died.
I'm thinking about something that we have in common with our dads, and it is that both of us have been with husbands, relationships where we couldn't really rely on them.
My
Emo-
dad hated my ex-husband so bad. He
okay,
hated
okay,
him.
okay. But I'm going to be nice because I try to be respectful. But
Well, you still have a
what I
relationship there. I do not.
Yeah, you don't. But also, I think that you relied on your dad the same way I have relied on my dad as an adult. And we've relied on them more because we didn't have the security that we needed, craved in our marriage and relationships. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. So I felt secure in my relationship. I just didn't have, like, for example, my dad would look around and say, oh, that window's dirty, and get up and wash it. Or this door handle is loose. Or, gosh, there's moss on the roof. Or, home maintenance type things. He would just get up and do it. I didn't have that. So I was that person,
So you
along
kind of
with,
had to turn into the masculine role because he,
yeah,
yeah, that's so
yeah,
hard.
I
I think
took
there's a
care of
lot.
everything.
I think there's a lot of women who have had to step up because they had to. And
Well, I think that if I didn't grow up with my dad doing that, that I wouldn't know any different. But I did. So it's just, you got a leaky faucet. If I can't fix it, I'm going to call a plumber. That's
you're
just
a
the
get
way
it.
it's going to go. It's going to get done.
You are a get it done girl, Monica, for
I am.
sure. You
I
are.
am.
You're better than me that way because just yesterday I had a friend over and I was pointing out like all the things that I needed to get done, like things that I look at and I'm like, yeah, that needs somebody should fix that. And then it just nobody fixes it because it's just me. And then the next
Yeah.
time I look at it, it's like, okay, but Monica would have fixed all those things herself, or she would have called somebody, huh?
Yeah.
Yes,
Most of
that's
the
who you,
time I would fix it myself because YouTube is amazing for tutorials. I
Monica.
learned how to
No way.
restring a weed eater myself and mow the lawn. And I learned all of those things.
That is where we differ because I'm helpless. I'm a princess. I'm a princess. Yes. Okay. So he passes away, and you are the ultimate daughter. How's that changed your relationship with you and your mom now?
The biggest change is that our family functions look different. So, in that I came to that realization this year, and it's been so hard. So, my dad died, I think, 4 years ago. Um, and for Mother's Day, all my brothers and my mom and dad's birthdays are all in May. So we'd get together once and do Mother's Day, birthdays, barbecue, cake, whatever. We just don't do that anymore. Same with Father's Day. Like Father's Day was always like a barbecue at one of our houses and everybody would go. And of course, I don't have dad anymore. And my kids, their dad is around. Um,
Yeah. Let's move into that. Let's move into that. What do you want to say about why your marriage ended?
for probably 10 years before I ended it, um, things started changing. I had accused him of cheating on me. Um, it was denied. The activity that had spidey senses about, I thought had stopped. So I let it go. And we just kind of moved into like a roommate type situation. He would help with the kids, he would help around the house, not as much as I wanted on either of those fronts. And we weren't really intimate. We would hang out with each other, but it wasn't amazing. and I wanted my life to be amazing. My mom and dad got married when they were in high school, and they loved each other. Man, they loved each other. And when my dad died, it was the middle of the night, and I woke him up, my husband, and I said, "I gotta go. My dad died." And he said, "Okay." No hug, no I'm sorry. Even through all my dad's treatments, talking to me about it, nothing. Like no support there whatsoever. And when my dad died, I realized that I just didn't really want my next 20 years to look like my last 20 years. I didn't want a roommate. I wanted a partner and I wanted a best friend and I wanted, to want to be with somebody. I wanted to want to go home. And I didn't want any of those things with him anymore. So I just one day made the choice, and he had been gone for the weekend and he was unpacking his stuff. And I walked in the garage and I said, "We're not going to do this anymore." And within a month, the divorce was final.
So you were the one who filed for divorce. You were the one who wanted it. How hard is it to be the person that actually like pulls the plug? Because this comes up in conversations with people. I have a girlfriend right now going through it and she said, why can't he be the one? And I said, of course, it's hard to be the one that puts things in motion, but also that's who you are because you're going to take control of your life instead of just sitting back and being okay with okay for so long, and maybe not even okay, being okay with a life that you aren't happy with for so
Yeah.
long just because you couldn't be the one to do it. So what are your thoughts on that, and was that a hard decision to make?
I think that he probably would have stayed in the relationship forever as long as I was taking care of everything. Um, he didn't have a savings account. He didn't have a retirement account. He had debt, and I had none of those things. So he had no retirement plan. I think I was probably his retirement plan. And I don't want that either. I think he would have just stayed forever because it was easy for him. And
Yeah.
it was a hard decision for me. I didn't want to hurt my kids. Once I made my choice, I budgeted. Looked at like what is this gonna look like? And I just made it. I had been thinking and thinking and talking to my girlfriends, and I mean, I told you how unhappy I was. I think when I finally told him, it was just relief because I'd finally ripped the Band-Aid off. I wasn't happy. There's no way he was happy either.
Right,
I don't
right.
think. There's no way he could have been. And then he kind of thought that we were going to get back together. So I tried to make it easy for the kids. Dad can still come over for Christmas or we can do a birthday thing together, which I wanted to be that kind of co-parent, but it was not going to happen.
Okay, so how did things go after the divorce, after he's moved out? And tell us about your kids.
So Izzy is 20. She is a student at University of Idaho. She wants to be a music teacher. Dean's List, full ride scholarship. She actually makes money going to school. I want to be her when I grow up. She's so passionate about what she does. And I don't think a lot of people have that.
He is exceptional,
Hmm.
exceptional, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that
And
shows because she loves it so much.
yeah, definitely. And then the twins, twin boys.
The boys are going to be 18 here in a couple months. They're going to be seniors in high school. They're for being identical twin boys, they are so different. So different. So when we got divorced, we agreed that the kids would be at will. They are old enough to choose where they want to be. If they want to stay with dad one week and me one week, or go stay with me full time and see dad once in a while, or whatever, we were just going to be open with it.
'Cause they
Um,
were the boys were 14 and Izzy was 16, right? So, these are ages that I mean, people are in this situation where I was in that point, you were at that point where you have these kids who have opinions about where they live, where they go to school, and it's a tightrope where as a parent, you want what you want because you know what's best, but also keeping that relationship strong with your kids is so important where they see that you respect them, that you understand them. I know that this was hard for you, and I appreciate you talking about it, but kind of how did that go and what were some of your feelings around it?
I just kind of assumed that all kids would stay with me and that they would go see him maybe every other week or weekends or whatever. I just assumed they would be with me. And that is absolutely not what happened. Um, Izzy and her dad had a strained relationship for a while. They ended up getting into a pretty decent conversation slash argument, and they haven't really spoken since. So that's been hard. She legally changed her name. She has no contact with him, and that's just the way that is.
And he's missing out because
So much,
she
so
is the
much.
best.
Mhm. Yeah.
Man, man. Okay. And then what
And
happened with the boys?
the boys, Bodie is just kind of even keel. You know, it just lays low like your pod. he he isn't really showing motion. So he's just been with me. He just stays here and he goes and sees his dad once in a while. But Gage, on the other hand, said, I'm gonna go live with my dad because if I don't, nobody else is gonna see him. He won't have anybody. And I said, okay, that's fair. I'll see you on the weekends or every other week or whatever you want to do. Bodie didn't want to go to his dad's one weekend. And I said, well, kid, you don't have to. His dad had ended up in a travel trailer that he parked behind his job and lived there for almost 2 years. Gage slept on the pull-out couch or the couch that comes out from under the table. There was no place for Bodie to be. There was no place for any of Bodie's stuff. And Bodie didn't want to go. And I said, well, you don't have to go. And the minute I told Bodie he didn't have to go because that's what we agreed on as parents, Gage decided he wasn't going to come here anymore. And that's the way that's been. It has been so hard.
Right. Of course. Obviously. I just keep thinking about myself and how tricky it is when you want to go, you deserve to go live your life and be happy, yet there's so many people who are affected by
Yeah.
that decision. And I remember having guilt about that very much. But at the end of the day, I would tell myself that the best thing that I could do for my kids was to be a happy mom. And I don't know if I told myself that just to make myself not feel as guilty, but I do think having a happy parent can influence your kids more than a lot of things.
Yeah. The minute he finally moved out, because he stayed until the very last minute when I said, you've got to go. It's in the papers. Get out. um, the minute he left, our household vibe completely changed. It was calm. There was no yelling. The dogs were different. Like it just is, it's a calm place. It's a happy place. There's not screaming. There's not yelling. There's no
And
anger. It's just completely different.
it's energy, Monty.
Yep,
Energy. I call her
it is.
Monty. So when that when somebody leaves your home, I don't think you really realize the negativity that is included with them until they're out. Because I experienced that big time with my last relationship that ended, and you don't even realize how bad it is until it's out, and then you're like, "Oh my god, how did I survive that? And how
Yeah.
did I not recognize it sooner?" But just the way your home felt was just
Yep.
such a improvement. Good.
Yep. And I changed everything, just like you. I changed everything. Like I got a new bed, I got new bedding, I got new furniture. Like everything that we did together was out. Done.
I think that's the best thing you can do is just to make the changes where it just feels completely new. And even like I'm living in this place that I lived with my ex, and I don't even think about it at all. It's like this is my home. I've made it
And
all
it
how
was your
I
home to
want it.
begin with.
It was. I know. I'm like Monica has strong feelings about all
I do. I do have strong feelings.
and that's okay. You're protective of me for sure. Monica has been to visit me here in Salt Lake, so she
And I
knows
actually
exactly.
did like your ex. I did like him. We had a good time. He was kind to me. Um, you know, I did like him. I just didn't like what he did to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's okay. Do you know that I would be getting married tomorrow? You would have been at my wedding
I
tomorrow.
I just deleted that off of my calendar last
My
weekend.
my dad told me the same thing this week.
Yeah. I'll also say get a prenup. No matter what
Yeah.
you think you have or don't have, get a prenup.
whoever I marry will have a prenup, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
probably be the one who writes it, or my
Well,
lawyer
yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
Yes. So they will be
Yeah.
signing
All
my
of
prenup.
my all of my retirement and stock accounts were all protected. That's why
Good.
our divorce went through so quickly, was because we had a prenup and I kept our finances separate. We had a joint account for household stuff and kid stuff, but everything else was separate.
Good. Yeah, that is good advice for sure. I completely agree about the prenup. Okay, let's go in. So you're divorced, you are a single mom, you've navigated the custody stuff. Izzy's just about to go to college, and then you have another big change. So tell us about the breast cancer diagnosis and how that went. I remember
Yeah.
clearly, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah. We're not crying today.
We don't cry on the Laylo pod. We focus on growth and we focus about the lessons.
Okay.
And that comes with emotion sometimes. I'm sure you've heard me have emotion in my voice, but I want this to be about you being a survivor. And I want this to be about you having the ultimate strength, because that is what I see with you, even though I know it's so hard and we are not going to cry. But yes, these were really, really hard days for sure.
Really hard days. So I have I have this file of things I need to take care of. Like the cat needs to go to the vet and property taxes are coming due. And it's this file of things I gotta do. Well, one of those was my mammogram card. And it came in November of 2023. And I put it off and I put it off and basketball season and it was busy and Izzy's getting ready to graduate. But in April, I saw it and I was like, oh, I better do that. So I called and scheduled it, got in that week, went for the mammogram, went home, no big deal. Well, a week later, I get a card in the mail that says, hey, your results are abnormal. We need to schedule a secondary mammogram and probably an ultrasound. They're a month out and I'm not waiting. There's something wrong. And I know it. And I said, I'll go to Seattle, I'll go to Missoula, I'll go to Boise, go to Salt Lake City and stay with Erin and do this. It doesn't matter, but I'm not waiting a month. So they changed the orders and put stat on it. And I got in that next week. And um, they did the mammogram first. And she was really twisting me and squishing me. And it was really on the right side. And I finally said, can you show me what we're looking at here? What are we trying to get a closer picture of? And she showed me the mammogram from the week before, and it was very apparent that something was wrong. It was like a splat. Um, so I knew. I knew going into it. I just had a gut feeling. We did the ultrasound, and the radiologist came in and said, yeah, I don't really like the looks of that. We're going to need to do a biopsy. And I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, you could do it now. He goes, well, we don't have any time. I said, well, no, you'll do it tomorrow. And they said, oh, we can't do that. And I said, well, you're going to, because I have to go out of town with my kid's band. um, and I'm not waiting another week. So they shuffled some stuff around and scheduled it for the next day. And my best friend actually took me to that appointment. And we were driving home. He was driving me. And I got my chart result. And it said there's a 95% chance you have cancer. I mean, it didn't say that, but the medical jargon, 95% chance that it's cancerous. And I dropped him off and I went straight to my mom's and laid my head in her lap and I cried and I cried and I cried and she cried. And I put on my big girl panties and started dealing with it. I went to the biopsy. I knew that that's what it was going to be. The official diagnosis, it came while I was on the band trip with my kids. And that was rough because the band trip with my kids was actually at the college Izzy's going to now. So every time I go to the School of Music and I sit on I walk up those steps. Those are the steps I sat on when my gynecologist called me and confirmed everything. I just decided I was going to do a double mastectomy. It was only in one side as far as we knew. And I just never wanted to tell my kids I had cancer again. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, ever. And when I told my kids, Izzy looked at me. She goes, "Is that why you've been being such a bitch?" And I said, "Yes, yes, it is."
I would have been like, "No, because I am a bitch."
Right. Um,
Well, I
so
remember you told me before the band trip, I know. You told me pretty quick, I think.
I told you the
And
day I came home from the test without even having confirmation. It was from the My Chart. I called you.
and I was at work and I went and sat on the floor. I knew exactly where I was, but it was so devastating to me because I only had experience of really one friend having cancer, and this was back in 2012, and I'm gonna do an episode on this most likely next week, where my best friend, we were raising our kids together in our neighborhood in that one stoplight town, and then she got pancreatic cancer, and I watched her die, and it was traumatic. That was my only experience with a friend having cancer, so your diagnosis majorly devastated me, and
You were the only friend who said, "I'm on my way."
and
And I've got
how
friends
many
that I've been friends with for a really long time, and they're local, but you were the first one to say, "I'm coming. I'll be right there."
I I just wanna fix everything, and I just was like, "How do I fix this?" I remember I made the playlist really quick, and I was like,
Yeah.
"You have to you have to listen to this." It was called Monica's Fighting Songs, I still have it.
Yeah.
I hated being so far from you, and I just didn't know how you were gonna deal with this as a newly single mom. I was worried about how are you going to feel support during this horrible season when you don't have a husband in the home to help, and I that was a big concern of mine, and I know you've mentioned, your friend, and his name's Greg, one of your old friends. I know he was a big support for you. Tell me about how he went from being there as a support during this hard time to now where you guys are now, because you know me, I love love, and I love
I
a good
love
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 story.
too.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, Greg, he's is truly my best friend. We went to high school together. We didn't hang out, we didn't date, none of that. But we ended up coming back together as through a mutual friend, and there were three couples that we did everything together. Dinners, fire pits, we traveled together. Um, his girlfriend ended up having a medical issue and leaving. I got a divorce. Um, we just were friends. He would come and help me fix things or show me how to fix things. He would um come to the kids' events and basketball games. And I had said, "Will you take me to this appointment? Do you think you could take me?" And he said, "Yeah, of course I can." We probably both had feelings for each other, but nothing ever happened from it. And he was dating someone else, and I wanted more from him that he couldn't give. And then they ended up breaking up. Anyway, so May 5th, we went to Coeur d'Alene, and he said, "I think we should try this. We should try and see if we could be more than friends." And we haven't spent 2 days apart since then.
I remember as this was developing and you had a couple hard conversations with him, and I was really proud of you for sticking up for, like, "This is what I need," and he got scared for a minute, and then he stepped the F up,
Well,
and
and
he's never
the
stopped.
funny thing, there's so much serendipity with us. Like, you are so close to seeing that person, and you are at the gas station, and then they were there 5 minutes later. So we lived in Coeur d'Alene at the same time. We went to college at the same school at the same time, never ran across each other. We lived in Hayden Lake at the same time. Like, all these things we lived at the same time, and nothing ever happened because it wasn't time. The universe, it wasn't time. So everything just shifted and went into place. And it, even though he knew I had cancer, he still wanted to be with me. He's super supportive. And he has gone to every single appointment. He has gone to every radiation. I had 25 radiation treatments after they learned it had spread to my nodes. He went to all of them. My mom took me to a few, and my girlfriends from grade school took me to one. But other than that, he took me to everything.
And I remember when once Greg came in and was like, "I am here for you, girl," like, I felt such a relief that you had somebody right there, a best friend who could be there in it with you. Um,
Who wasn't new to
I
my family. Like, it wasn't weird that he was doing all of this because he'd been to my mom and dad's for Thanksgiving, like 4 years prior. Like,
yeah.
everybody knew him. It wasn't like a stranger was coming in and moving in and taking me to all these things. I mean, we were friends for a really long time.
So tell me now where things stand. You are cancer-free,
They
correct?
won't say I'm cancer free. They will say that there's no evidence of disease. Ned, we like to call it. So there's Ned. They are confident that I don't have cancer. That's very, very hard for me because I do this really cool blood test every 3 months. It's $8,000, by the way.
Easy.
Cancer's expensive. Like, I have $1 million body. But there's this really cool test called Signatera, where they went and took my cancer tumor cells from 2024 and segmented out the DNA anomaly, the genetic anomaly that caused my cancer. So they found that gene. And now every 3 months, they go into my current blood and look for that gene. So I have
So they
had 4 clean tests so far.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing modern medicine right there
it
that they
is.
can
It is. And
'cause that's one
that's,
thing with the United States that pisses me off is, like, we have no preventative care hardly. Like, it's so crazy if you really think what money is spent on getting people better versus trying to do anything to prevent. It's
well,
just
and
pretty wild.
I've always said it, but I do think there's probably a cure for cancer, but it's such a moneymaker that it'll never
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah, no, I have had that thought too. Well, I want to end the episode with 5 lessons that you have learned through your 2 years of chaos. That's what I'm calling it because it was.
Yeah.
I want to hear 5 things that you have learned through this massive change and adjustment, this really difficult season now that you are I know you're not technically all the way on the other side. I do know that there are surgeries that might not be done for a while now, and I know that that's been really difficult for you, but tell me some of the positives that's come out of this.
I think that when you realize that something's off in your life, you need to act on it. Nobody else is responsible for your happiness but you. And you're the only one who can make the change. So figure it out what's not making you happy. If you're not happy where you live, move. If you're not happy in your job, get a different one. Like, it's not that hard. You can do hard things. So um advocating for your own happiness is a big deal.
I love
Advocating
that.
for your medical care is a big deal. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't really make a whole bunch of friends there in the beginning. And I actually fired my first oncologist. So
I think you went in there and you just disrupted because you were not going to take no for an answer from any of those people, and you
no,
just found a way, found a way, found a way, and I hate that that is sometimes what it takes during these medical situations, but I know that it's not even a choice. That was just what you were going to do.
yeah. Yeah, I
It's
made a plan and that's the way it went. Everything did not go to plan, and I think that was a hard lesson for me, was accepting that I couldn't change what my fate was for for anything, but I had a plan and that didn't work. So I had to pivot, like cross on friends with the couch. um and learning how to, I guess, be graceful in that. One of the things that didn't work out was the big surgery for reconstruction. I had to be flat chested for an entire year. It was actually a little bit over a year. And that was rough. That was rough. I didn't feel like it was my body. I liked my boobs. I thought they were a great feature. And to not have any, and it's not even like you look like a teenage boy. It is, you are concave and bony and scarred. That was really tough for me. So learning how to accept the body that I didn't want, that was a big lesson. Big.
And I was there for that. I remember having this talk with you where it feels like, I mean, any cancer diagnosis is devastating, but I think for women, the breast cancer diagnosis, there is just
It's so
this.
physical.
It is so much connected to who we are as women and being feminine and being soft and curvy and what we pride ourselves on a lot for who we are, a lot of our identity, and having that not just jeopardized, but becoming this like human pincushion.
It's really hard.
And as much as we want to say those scars are reminders of your strength, it's
But you're
still freaking
alive.
hard. It's right. It's still
I'm alive,
hard.
but
We
yeah.
still want to look the way we feel our best self. And I know like that would be extremely hard for me to look in the mirror and to not see what I see. And I can imagine the lesson of learning of accepting your body. And that might be ongoing, Monty. It might
It
be a little
absolutely
while.
is because every
Yeah.
surgery has changed. That's hard. So adjusting to my body was a big lesson. Advocating for myself was a big lesson. Learning how to be happy was a really big one. And having some guilt around that because I disrupted my family, my kids, like they were unhappy, but I was happy. You know what I mean? Like
That's
I
hard.
was,
Yes, I do know.
yeah, I was
It's
sad for
hard.
them, but I was happier for my life. Uh, get a prenup. What else?
That is staying in.
Um, some sort of like empower yourself. So yeah, you're a princess, but if you had to fix your plumbing yourself, if you had to fix a leaky faucet yourself, you absolutely could.
Monica, I don't think I could.
I do.
I don't.
I
What what
okay,
what would I
I
do?
do.
I would go on YouTube and
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
I just don't.
I fixed
I
my
don't
hot
I
water
don't
tank
wanna
myself.
I don't wanna find out, Monty.
Well, and you shouldn't have to. You can empower
I
yourself to
know.
do things that you don't think you can do.
You are right. You are absolutely right. You are a strong, strong woman, girl. You
I
do.
like to think so. But the last time I left the oncologist's office, I had a big meltdown. I called my mom and I cried and I cried and I cried just because there's no answers. There's no way they can tell me that I don't have cancer, and there's no way for me to say, if I do this, I won't get it again. It's
Yeah,
hard.
that is really hard. Well, the things that I really look up to you about, Monica, is you're a wonderful mom, and even though things don't always look perfect, you keep a really good attitude about it. And I have seen your positive attitude for well, I think we've been friends about 10 years. And Monica, you have always been a good example of just staying in a good mental space, even when things aren't good. And even when things get really bad, you kind of stay in that middle zone. And I think that's a great trait personally. You're an amazing mom, amazing daughter, amazing aunt. You really have a lot of people that look up to you. And I'm just so grateful that you are okay. And I know that this is probably something that never really goes away. You're going to be watching it for the rest of your life, but I am so proud of you for how you've navigated these changes and how you have kept an upbeat attitude. I know you have hard days without a doubt, but overall, I think that you do a really good job living in a positive space.
I think that some of my doctors were thrown off by my humor. Not
Yeah.
not that I was being naughty humor, which I actually love a lot, but just like joking about not having boobs or joking about getting them lopped off, like just being nonchalant about it. But humor is my way out of really uncomfortable situations. So I think I threw them off on that.
Well, good. I think it's good to keep them on their toes and show them that you are a real person. And I'm just so glad we're friends. And I'm so glad we've been able to stay connected through all these years. You think about it, you meet so many people, but how many people are you staying connected to where I could get a text from you and after not hearing for months and we're like, boom, right there,
Yeah.
right back at it. And I,
Also, friends, I will be proud to tell you that I have been invited to Erin's house. Based on the last podcast of not many people have been invited, I have been invited,
you
and
have.
I've been twice actually.
You're always invited, Monica.
Yeah.
Always, always. You better show up here. The patio's ready for you. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
I love you. I
I
love
love you
you.
too.
Thank you for laying low with me, girl.
Lay
Good.
low.
Lay low. I love you. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know that there are people who maybe you've gone through one of those three things, let alone all of them at once, but you're a great example of strength and love. And we wish you all the good, positive vibes for healthy, clean tests for a long, long time.
Yes, I'll take it.
Okay. Okay. Love you, girl.
Love you too.
Thank you for laying low with us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.